Now you put your child in front of the same book 2 days in a row. Yesterday they sailed through it. Today they can't even remember words they knew 5 minutes ago. And you start wondering if something's wrong, or if they're losing what they learned, or if you somehow confused them. Now you need to hear this. Your child is not going backwards. What you're seeing is completely normal, and it's actually showing you something really important about how reading develops in the brain. Now, early reading is made up of dozens of tiny skills that are all growing at different speeds, and they don't all grow in straight lines either. Now, some days your child's brain has easy access to those skills, and other days it doesn't. That doesn't mean the skills disappeared. It means the brain is still wiring them in, and that wiring takes time and repetition. Now, here's what most parents don't realize. When your child reads a word correctly, they might be using completely different mental strategies each time. One day, they might actually decode the word by sounding it out. The next day, they might be guessing based on the picture or the first letter. The day after that, they might recognize it by shape or memory. All three of those look like reading on the surface, but only one of them is actually building the skill that lasts. And when your child switches between strategies without you noticing, it creates this illusion that they knew it and then they forgot it. But the truth is, they never fully owned it in the first place. Now, this is where it helps to zoom out a little. So your child's brain is trying to automate something that is not natural. Speaking is natural. Reading was invented. So every time your child successfully reads a word, their brain has to decide whether that was a one-time success or something worth storing permanently. And it makes that decision based on repetition, clarity, and confidence. If your child read the word by guessing or got help from you halfway through, their brain tags that memory as unreliable and doesn't store it the same way. That's why a word they read perfectly yesterday feels brand new today. Now add in everything else your child's brain is managing. Sleep, emotion, hunger, excitement, frustration. All these things affect working memory, and working memory is what your child uses to hold sounds in their head long enough to blend them into words. On a good day, working memory is wide open. Your child feels calm, confident, and capable. On a rough day, it's like trying to think clearly when someone's talking over you. The skill is still there, but access to it is limited. And because you can't see working memory, it just looks like your child forgot. Now, there are two things parents celebrate that actually make this worse. The first is memorization. If your child can recite a book or recognize a set of words really quickly, that feels like progress. But unless they can decode those words in a new context with different formatting or in a different book, they haven't actually learned to read them. They've learned to recognize them, and recognition is fragile. It depends on everything staying the same. The second thing is speed. When your child flies through a page, it's so tempting to think they've got it. But speed without accuracy is usually a sign that they're skipping the decoding process altogether. They're using memory or prediction, and that only works until it doesn't. The moment that they hit an unfamiliar word, everything falls apart. What actually builds skill is slow, accurate decoding, where your child touches every sound and blends it correctly. It doesn't look impressive, but it's the only thing the brain can build on. When your child is struggling, your instinct might be to push through to prove they know it. But here's what helps more. Slow everything down. Go back to easier words. Let them taste success again. Use words with patterns they know and can decode confidently. That rebuilds the feeling of competence and reminds the brain that they actually know this stuff. Now, you're not lowering the bar. You're stabilizing the foundation. One way to do this is by taking the word that seems to have them stumped at the moment. Let's say the word is bright. The first thing I would do is I would close my book and then I would reach for my trusty mini whiteboard. All right, let's start by writing our word down here. Bright. Here we go. All right, now it's probably one of two things here that's throwing them off. It's likely probably this consonant blend here. Those are not easy at first, or the IGH, making that long I sound. Now, if you've taught them that IGH makes the long sound, that's fantastic. Then we just need to review that. But if not, we're asking them to read a word where we haven't taught that this combination of letters makes that sound, and that's right now, that's cut and dry. That's your biggest problem right there. So we'll either teach it or remind them of that particular sound. Now what we want to do is start breaking this word apart. We're going to chop that off. We're going to take that, and all that's left is this sound right here, the I sound, IGH combo, okay? And what we want to do is want to build a word family. So we're going to throw that T back in there, all right? We just want to visually show that we've added, all right? Now, ite, this one together. Let's blend it together. It's two separate sounds. I will put a dot under there and one here like that, okay? Two separate sounds, ite, 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 ite. We want them to blend that and then treat it almost like one unit, okay? So there's one unit right there, ite, ite, ite. And all we're going to do is throw a new consonant in front of it. In this case, we blend the n into ite, ite, night, all right? Now we throw that out and we throw in the F, right? Ite, ite, fight. Very good. And then the S. All right. Ite, ite. Remember, this is a word family, which is the advantages. We're kind of treating it as one unit. Instead of constantly blending it three different sounds. If they get this nice and tight, the ite, right? That's very important. Now, strategically, we throw in the R. All right, we're almost there. Now, we call this the sneak attack method for a reason. All right, we'll get to bright sooner or later, and you can see it starting to transform. Now we have ite, right, right. Okay, we're going to throw an F in front of it because now we want to bring in the consonant blend, which might have been a problem for them before. So we want to rule that out. So now we have and we can stretch the F out, which that's what's really nice. And you can't do that with the letter B. So we got fright, fright. All right. Now we bring in our B. And you see how we've come full circle? And there we go. So let's blend that one together for them, right? We want to model it first. This kind of short, we can't really stretch it, right? That's the only problem with that one, but that's okay. Bright, bright. Now, 9 times out of 10, it snaps back into place and you're good to go. We took one mistake, one challenging word, and used that opportunity to reinforce the IGH sound, built the IGH-T word family, and blended 5 different words before coming back to the initial word they seemed to have forgotten. Now, we could have told them the word was bright the moment they stumbled on it in a sincere effort to move things along. But instead, we turned this into a teachable moment that will do wonders to help them remember the word the next time. Now, with that said, if they're melting down or shutting off, it's best to end your reading session for the day. You're not losing time by ending early. You're protecting their belief that they can usually do this, just not at this time. A child who feels safe trying will always outpace a child who's learned to feel shame when reading gets hard. What they need most on a rough day is not more practice, it's reassurance that the struggle doesn't mean failure. And there will always be another chance to show mom and dad that they did, in fact, know it after all. Now, I know it's scary when progress doesn't look linear, but inconsistency is not a red flag. It's a sign of growth in progress. The brain doesn't develop skills all at once. It builds them in layers. And every time your child successfully decodes a word, even with support, they're adding another layer. Now, some days the layers stack nice and neat. Other days they kind of bounce around. But they're still being built. Your child is not behind, they're not broken, and you're not doing anything wrong. What you're seeing is what early reading actually looks like when it's developing the right way, through decoding, not memorization. The ups and downs don't mean it's not working. They mean it's working exactly how it's supposed to. Now, I put together a free reading assessment for occasions just like this, so that moms and dads can get a better understanding of where their child is at right now along their reading journey. When their strengths and weaknesses are clearly laid out, it gives us a much better vantage point from which to plan goals and milestones tailored to the way your child learns best. Talk about a VIP learning experience. Now, you can access the link in the description below. I hope I was able to ease some of your worries today. And until next time, stay wonderful, and I hope to see you again real soon.